and I guess that's why they call it the blues. Okay, Andy actually sung it better than me. He did a better Elton John impression than I did, but I'm starting off that one because we're talking about depression and the blues and its connection to sugar. So it is inextricably linked. We're talking biochemistry, and refined sugar equals depression. Human physiology. If you're not experiencing a severe low after you have a rush of sugar, it's usually because your body is so saturated with sugar you don't even notice it. It just becomes kind of how you do life, or you've eaten so much sugar and you followed it up by sugar that you're never actually feeling low because you're constantly on the drug that is sugar. And we know that that will lead to low to high levels, to even suicide levels of depression. It is like night and day when you get off of sugar. I remember when I was at my worst, when I was starting off the morning with the ice cream, you know, finishing the day with a chocolate cake and just literally didn't have any sugar, not have any sugar throughout the day, that I actually had this kind of, not low level, it was like this deep level of depression, and it required great mental strength on my part to get out of that mode of depression. And I certainly woke up in the mornings not feeling like I wanted to get out of bed and go on with life. Now, I've mentioned this before, but there is an eminent child psychologist here in Vancouver who has had great success with children, so getting them out of depression, you know, psychotic episodes, ADHD. And one of the conditions in working with her is that the child must be off of refined sugar before she will start to work with them. And that's because those poor little bodies are just bouncing off the walls because sugar is unbalancing their body chemistry, their brain chemistry, their gut chemistry, and it makes it very hard for them to actually think clearly, to have even moods, and to be able to control their emotions. Now, for us adults, sugar can actually impact us in the same way, and certainly depending on the amounts that we're having. And right now, we're living in a world that is hard. It's stressful. And certainly if you're aware of what's going on in the world, it's super hard not to be sensitive to how many people are actually suffering in the world. And I think just that basic level of awareness can actually lead us to actually feeling depressed. I recently listened to an article on the CBC radio about a scientist who was actually studying the gait of polar bears and how polar bears are actually being impacted by our behavior as humans. And she said, based on what's going on environmentally, she knows a lot of scientists who are actually depressed. So it's not hard to find reasons to actually feel down about the world. But here's one thing I do know. When your body gets clean, when it gets off of the drug, when it gets sober and it's being nourished, okay, it's not just about the absence of the drug, but when we start to nourish our body so it actually feeds our gut and feeds our brain, it's very difficult to actually stay in that place of depression, depression being that place of suppressed energy. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel sadness if something sad happens. You know, if you lose someone or something, it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel grief. But when you're going through the grieving process, there are steps and stages and levels and layers of the grief or anything that we're actually difficult in struggling with. When you're depressed, you just feel bad all the time. No matter what stage or step you're going through, even if something lovely happens, it's almost like your body prevents you from moving out of that space of grief for a moment to actually feel joy. When your body's clean, you actually start to feel joy throughout the process of actually feeling grief. It doesn't mean that you're just stuck in this kind of prison of depression. So here's the important thing to understand. If you are experiencing depression right now, if you're on any kind of medication or drugs to moderate your feelings of depression, I'm not telling you to get off of those drugs, but I am telling you to get off of sugar, because I know that there is nothing that you're doing or experiencing that won't be improved by the absence of refined sugar in particular in your body. Okay, I'm going to say that again. There's nothing in your life that cannot be improved by the absence of refined sugar in your body, and it goes especially so for depression. Just to reiterate, life is intense, it's stressful, and it can be overwhelming. I recently heard a quote from Marianne Williamson that went to something to this effect. I'm going to paraphrase it. When it all is too much, and you feel like giving up, consider taking a rest. If you are feeling stressed to the max, you're overwhelmed or depressed, take a rest. And in that rest space, what I'd love you to do is start to nourish yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, okay? As well as physically. Get some real food into your body, greens. Start to feel the life-giving properties of that just literally coming into your body. Take a rest, and then get on with life. Okay, so I've just written this. I'm going to read it. So stop. Nourish mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You are not weak. You are human. Go to your threshold, build the muscle, and then rest. You'll be stronger tomorrow for it. Be loving and kind in the words to yourself. Love is not a pushover or an excuse to give up. In fact, love never gives up on love. Love is not weak. Love is a verb. So rest, nourish, push lovingly, and repeat. And that is definitely a key to sweet freedom. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like it. Subscribe to the channel and share it with people you care about that can benefit from this. And join our incredibly supportive Facebook group. And lastly, if you're looking to get sugar-free naturally, follow the links below and find out more about the Sweet Freedom online program.